Yeah, certain people, it's Sunday. Time to get a little bit serious. I want to talk about Invincible, or more specifically, something that happened during the series of Invincible involving two characters, Amber and Mark. And I'm not really going to get into spoilers specifically and things like that. So, nothing there if you haven't watched the show. So, what happened was that Mark was a superhero, or is a superhero, Invincible, right? And he's dating this girl, Amber. And he doesn't tell Amber that he's a superhero in the beginning. He kind of lies to her about where he is, and he's late all the time, and saying he's going to be somewhere, but he's not because he's off saving the planet or saving somebody from something. And then, all the while she's growing more and more upset with him because she feels like there's something going on. He's not being honest with her. He's not telling her something. And then eventually it gets to the point where he reveals himself as a superhero. That's the reason why he hasn't been around as much and late all the time, but it turns out she already knew, but was still upset with him. And apparently, not many people recognized why, according to somebody in the comments. And so let me talk a little bit about that and what I think happened there and why Amber still didn't trust him right away. And by the way, if you've watched it, then you know already what happened in the next episode. But for that moment there, for episode 7, why Amber didn't trust Mark, or why Amber was still upset with Mark, even though she knew he was a superhero. And what I think it comes down to is just the acknowledgement of it all. I think if she knew that he was a superhero, then she kind of understands why he is what he's doing. But the fact is that he didn't tell her. And if you're with somebody in a relationship, then you have to be able to trust them. And of course in the beginning, it's you kind of figure each other out. You don't really know what's up or what you can say or what you can't say and this, that, and the other. Especially someone like a superhero, you don't just tell everybody right at the jump, right? But at the same time, it's like if you're with someone, you get to a point where you recognize this is a thing and you are serious about this person, then yeah, you need to be able to trust them. You have to decide, do you trust this person with your deepest, darkest secrets? Or maybe not your deepest, darkest secret, certainly something that is important to you. Can you trust this person with that? And if the answer to that is no, then yeah, you probably should just leave it alone and not waste their time. But if you can trust them, then let them know what's up, and say, this is what I do, this is da-da-da, and, go from there. But because that didn't happen, because he just continued to lie to her, where she felt like they're building something, they're going somewhere, the relationship is going somewhere, it seems like he's interested, she's interested in him, but the fact that he's not telling her this thing ultimately makes her feel like he doesn't trust her enough to be open and honest with her, and is effectively just kind of stringing her along, maybe till the next girl comes, something like that. Now we the audience know that's not what's happening, but what's happening now, how things feel, aren't the same thing, all right? So it's the case of her feeling, okay, she knew what was happening, but her feeling like, if he can't tell me this thing, why does he feel that he doesn't want to tell me? Is this going to be something is this relationship that he wants to have last for a long time, or is this just a short thing until the next girl comes along? That's probably what she's feeling in those situations, because he's not being honest. And the thing is, when you're not honest with somebody, the mind wanders, right? And I think we've all been in that situation where you don't know what's going on, or at least you don't fully know what's going on, and because of that, you start wondering, is it this, is it that, is it this, is it that? And potentially, I know they don't quite exploring this in the show, but potentially it starts to play on certain insecurities about yourself that you might have. Am I worthy? Am I, good enough? Am I this? Am I that? Am I the problem? Is it something is it me? Things along those lines. So it starts to play on those kind of feelings. So when we get to the episode where the reveal happens, and it's like, yeah, I'm a superhero now. It's not the reason, or at least the reason I think it wasn't just, oh yeah, everything's great now, is because he didn't fully acknowledge what he'd done. He didn't acknowledge that he caused her pain. He didn't acknowledge that he'd lied to her. He didn't acknowledge that he hadn't trusted her with this sooner. And, to be fair, I think maybe he was going to, because if you remember, she does slam the door in his face at the beginning, and he just turns up in a superhero costume like, so maybe he was going to, but effectively or ultimately he didn't. He didn't acknowledge that he'd lied to her, that he'd caused all that pain, that, and this is the reason why, and why he didn't tell her right away. Those things weren't acknowledged. So in her mind, it's like, one, you've lied to me all this time. You've made me feel like you don't trust me. And now you haven't even acknowledged that you haven't done it. So is the expectation of this relationship that, you say something and I'm supposed to just be like, oh, okay, everything's great now, and disacknowledge my own feelings towards it. So there was a lot of things that weren't acknowledged and weren't addressed when that reveal happened. So yeah, that with the fact that she wasn't okay right away, I get it. I get it. It's just is the feelings that you have and everything that you go through, and all the emotions that you go through when you're not sure what is. Okay, you understand that he's doing his thing, but the reason why he's not telling you and all the things that go inside your mind while that's not happening could play on a lot of different emotions. And then when that happens, and then again, not fully acknowledging, not showing any kind, well, maybe not, there's some remorse, I suppose, but not really fully saying, okay, look, I'm sorry, this is why I'm doing this is why I didn't tell you, this is what's going on, and just not acknowledging everything that he's done. It was like, okay, so am I supposed to just be like, you say this and I jump? Is that what we're doing here? And yeah, so yeah, I got it. At least that's what I got from it. That's how I understood it. Maybe that's not what they intended, but that's what I understood from that whole interaction. Why she didn't just be like, oh, everything's fine right away. Here's the thing though, and here's where it gets a little bit interesting. Like I say, we on the next episode, we know what happens and how that kind of resolves. But here's what I think is interesting about that whole thing about Amber feeling that she didn't trust him. Amber knew that he was a superhero, but she didn't say anything. So trust goes both ways. Trust goes both ways. And if you're going to play games with people, you can't be mad that they play games with you. Personally, I'm not that. I feel like, I've done, in my younger days, it was like, don't say this, don't say that, maybe say this, say that, wait for her to do this and do it. You get a bit older, you just feel like, nah, I'm not, you're just not on that. But I feel like you recognize certain things when people are trying to play around with you. And yeah, if you knew that he was a superhero and you chose to not say anything, because you wanted to see if he'd say anything, and then he didn't say anything. It's like, look, you're entering into a whole world of things. And sometimes you're just going to be like, look, I know what's up. I think if you're talking about being genuine and forming a relationship that's based on honesty and forming a relationship that's hopefully going to last a long time, you might have to just be like, hey, look, I know you're a superhero. What's up? And if he's still lying to you from then, or still not trusting you from then, or still being, this, that, and the other, and he's not the one. But yeah, the way I see it is like he had Mark lying to her and her not being completely honest with him. So I guess they're suited to each other. I guess they're suited to each other in the end. But yeah, it was really just the trust thing. I felt that's what they were trying to get at with the episode, and just the whole thing about trust and being in a relationship and being able to trust somebody. I feel like if you are with somebody, you got to be able to trust them with anything. You got to be able to trust them with just anything. And if you can't, then you got to figure out why, or maybe realize that this isn't the relationship for you to be in. Because if you're lying to the person or lying to yourself, constantly having to make excuses for things, do you really want to be doing that? You know, do you really want to be doing that? Do you really want to have somebody, you know, constantly feeling like something's up and they don't know what's up, and all kinds of things going in their mind while you know what's up, but you don't want to tell them because you don't know how they're going to take it, or you feel like you can't trust them, or you feel, you know, sometimes you're going to be like, you know, either figure out what the problem is, work it out from there, or yeah, maybe it's time to move on. You know, maybe it's time to move on and find someone that you can be fully open with and can trust. But then if you find out what's going on, maybe just tell them and say, hey, look, I know what's going on. Let's talk about it. And if it's still a problem, yeah, it's probably time to move on. But anyway, like I say, in the next episode, they seem to have resolved their issue. So that was that. We'll see what happens in the next season and how it goes from there. But yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the whole trust thing, and what I understood from that. But yeah, maybe that's what it meant. Maybe it's not. Maybe it meant something else. But that's what I understood from it. Anyway, guys, drop a suggestion in the comments. Send it through and I'll see what I can do. Like, share, subscribe, because we're doing this thing. More videos on the screen. Check out my other channels as well. And I forgot my outro. What am I supposed to say now? Yeah, that's it. Until whenever, if ever. Peace.